Alright guys, and welcome to Portugal. Once again, since the last race we haven't improved the car or the HQ. We are in a very much just having to try and save money at the moment. We've spent quite heavily at the start of the season and through pre-season, and which makes me now glad I didn't sign Mick Schumacher. So anyway, we've gone through practice. We're here for qualifying. We're looking for a similar, if not slightly better weekend than last weekend, where in the end it became quite disappointing, quite upsetting. I was a bit downhearted when I saw the starts we had. I had been trying to start with higher engine power, higher tyre wear, but they weren't working either. Something in these cars just doesn't seem to want to start. We'll probably give them another try at some point, but at the moment I'm a bit confused by it all, because George used to fly off the start line. He just doesn't seem to do that anymore. There's been times where Latifi's gained 8-9 places off the start. That this season doesn't seem to be happening. It's a much longer track than Italy. So much longer track than Italy. We'll put it on to number 2 because that was just too long to be doing that little mini game for. Right, so Latifi, well, he's going to go purple. I think he's the first one out, so he's inevitably going to go purple in those sectors. He won't stay purple, let's be honest. And George is perfect as well. So Latifi does a 117.8. A 116.8 is what Hamilton has then put in. George is 3/10 down after sector 1. What can he produce? He's 3/10 down still after sector 2. That's much better. This is quick. If he can keep this pace up, can he? He's still only 3/10 down. He's 5th fastest. 5th fastest. That's not bad at all. And there is a nice gap between him and Sergio Perez. And Latifi is 8th fastest. That's really good. Like with George, we might not send him out again, but Latifi definitely we will be. Latifi will have to go out again. So we'll wait to about 3.5 minutes and he will go out again. There we go. So we will now send out Latifi, who is still unhappy. I cannot make this guy happy with anything. He's literally impossible to please. Literally. So here comes Latifi. Can he produce a quality lap and get himself a little higher up the pecking order? He's got to find 2/10 to be able to do it, which isn't going to be easy. 2/10 is a lot to find in a lap. Don't get me wrong, he'll give it his all, but it is a lot to find. I think George has now dropped down into 6th place. And do we send George out? Yeah, we'll send George out for another lap. It'd be a bit harsh if we didn't. So we'll give him another chance to better his lap time. And maybe try and put the car a couple of places further up than he already has managed to. His tyres were perfect. So Latifi did improve, but not enough, and he has dropped a place as Lando's put in a big lap, which sees then Russell also drop a place. Russell, he's gone green sector 1. He's only a 10th down, and he was matching Lewis's pace. He hasn't matched Lewis's pace there though. He's still 2 tenths, well essentially 3 down there, And in the end, it is quicker. It is quicker than Hulkenberg and Ricciardo. It's 5th place for George Russell. And Lewis Hamilton grabs himself pole. Latifi will start 12th in the end. He did improve, but not by much, and not nearly enough. So 5th and 12th for the two Williams. We now have to check if there's rain, and if there's not, we can make a plan, a strategy that should hopefully. All we've got is intermediates because that's all we could really go out on in practice. So if it does rain, at least we know we'll be alright. Yeah, that'll do. You're going out with that. Sorry mate, but that's what you're doing. So no rain due at any point. There is 32 laps to this Grand Prix, so that's 11 laps for the soft, 15. It'd be asking too much for it to go soft to hard, I think. So if we start him on the medium, and then he can just try and take the hard tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. And I think it'll be a very similar race strategy for George, medium to hard. Cut out that pit stop and just try and get to the end this way instead. We're going to turn them up. We're going to put them both onto the highest settings to start the Grand Prix, and then the first few corners we're going to take them off. Maybe this will be the way we get that start that we're looking for. So anyway, it is Lewis Hamilton on pole, Max Verstappen starts 2nd, Valtteri Bottas is 3rd alongside Lando Norris in 4th, George Russell will start 5th, his worst qualifying of the season so far, alongside Nico Hulkenberg in 6th, Daniel Ricciardo is 7th alongside Sergio Perez in 8th, Pierre Gasly starts 9th and Charles Leclerc starts 10th, Sebastian Vettel is 11th alongside Nicholas Latifi in 12th, you'll see Carlos Sainz in 13th alongside Yuki Tsunoda in 14th, Fernando Alonso is 15th and Esteban Ocon is 16th. 17th belongs to Felipe Drugovich and Kimi Raikkonen will start 18th. Antonio Giovinazzi is 19th and Guan Yu Zhou is starting at the back of the grid. Will being on all-out attack from the start make a difference to our start? George gets away, and this time he gets away really well. He gets away really well. He's going to attack into that first corner. And he is past Lando Norris. He is past Lando. Just what you want to see from George. He's past him. Latifi is held 12th. And now, what can George do? The cars in front are getting away, but you'd expect them to. Ricciardo's flying off the start here. Daniel Ricciardo on those softs is flying. And now George will try and use his ERS to get away a little bit. And he will get away a little bit. In fact, he's now battling with Daniel Ricciardo just up the road from these cars. But then Charles Leclerc's using his to get up right up behind George, to get down the inside. He has as well. And did you want to pit? There's a safety car out. No. Oh God, I didn't mean to do that. No, I don't. Why would I want to pit just because the safety car out? Conserve the tyres. That's what we're now going on to as we look to conserve our tyres till the end of the race. And we'll look to get the safety car period out. So as the safety car comes out, it is Russell in 6th, Latifi in 13th. Both drivers have lost a place. The problem we've got now is with being on conserve, we might get caught out by quite a few cars on the restart. But like I said, I think we're going for maybe a pit stop or two less than these cars, and we will try and utilise some. Oh wow, there's a lot of cars that's just going to fly past George here. It is just, oh wow, it is an absolute mosh pit of cars at the moment. Latifi's actually got past George. Latifi's up into 10th. George is struggling out here. Oh, we're going to put him onto neutral. He's struggling to keep going in that vein. I think, to be fair, Latifi's down in 10th now. George is trying to battle away here. There's just an absolute... We've just got to wait for this field to spread out a little bit. Because right now, 13th and 14th, the safety car did not help us at all. And we're battling each other, which doesn't help. So Latifi will utilise some ERS now to try and maybe just build a little bit of a gap. I know Russell's gone past here. Russell will be past him. And he is indeed. George Russell's back up to 13th as the two teammates squabble. We're going to pick up the pace a little bit because we are essentially now waiting for a pit stop. Pierre Gasly's in 9th. We've got Alonso right ahead of us on starting to go off softs. And Latifi now has passed George. Or George is back past Latifi. They're just battling each other. It's good to see teammates race, but we've got to be careful. Latifi will use his ERS to try and close up on, and he's got past him. He's got past Alonso on those old tyres who is pitting this lap. What is Alonso going to? He's going to hard, so he's now trying to take hard tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. Bit early to try and take hard tyres to the end of the Grand Prix, if you ask me. He's the first pitter alongside Lando Norris. And at some point we're going to have to make the call to pit someone early. If we're pitting anyone early, I think we'll probably pit George early. And with Bottas, it's a case of we're probably just going to have to let him past because he will be faster than us. It's a Mercedes at the end of the day. We have got the same engine, but it's a Mercedes. And there we go, there's Verstappen. Coming out, and we're just trying to make these tyres last a little longer now, and hopefully bring George out into some clean air. So here we go, this lap we're pitting George to come in. Those hards, it's going to be touch and go if they make it to the end for George. Fingers crossed they do. Pit him this lap, and Latifi, who's doing so well, if I'm honest. He's doing fantastically well. He's just gonna try and lose his places without losing too much time. That's what he's got to do now. So here comes George, who'll go straight on to conserve, and we'll get him on that straight away. And this lap is now when we're going to pit Latifi. And then he will also be on conserving of the tyres. So George is in 18th place. The undercut has worked for George. So the undercut has worked wonders for George, but then again that's probably the same as having that ERS, and Latifi will come back up to George. The issue we've got is our teammates are just neck and neck with each other all the way at the moment. And as we drive here, we're going to try our best, but obviously Leclerc's going to get back past. Leclerc can go to the end and he will fly past on these tyres. We're trying to conserve our tyres so we can battle at the end, but yeah. So like you've got Gasly who's gone on to softs, which I think is such an odd call. He's still got to pit, and right now we're running 14th and 15th place. And there's still a few cars that you'd expect that are going to pit. We've got cars behind us who are on faster tyres as well, which is an issue. They will come into play, but at the same time, at some point, their tyres are going to have to die off. Is what I'd say. Their tyres will have to die off, and Kimi Räikkönen is certainly catching. Like, that is definite. He is catching, and he's catching quick. And then behind him, who's now using ERS, and he will look to get past Latifi with his ERS. He's got side by side, and he's through. It is then Will Gasly, who's just gone on to mediums, and he's flying also. George has pulled away from Latifi a little bit. Latifi's struggling, so we're going to put Latifi up onto neutral. George, on the other hand, is putting in a really good drive with conserve on. He's putting in a really good drive. And as everyone now is trying to make this to the end, the question is, if I go on to neutral, do they? We're going to do it. We're going to go on to neutral and try and take these tyres to the end from here with neutral on. And George gets up the inside of Leclerc and into 11th. Brilliant move. And there's an issue. There is an issue with that Sainz car. Leclerc's using ERS as much as he can. He's now got that momentum. George right behind Sainz, being held up a little bit. Sainz uses his ERS to disappear up the road. George now will use a little bit just to try and get a little closer. Latifi, it's not really working, is it? George, can he get past that Sainz car in 10th? And he has. He's passed Sainz. George passes Sainz and gets himself now into 9th place. It is that he's gone. And if that Carlos Sainz car can hold up Leclerc, George could get away a little bit here. He could get away. And he's certainly going to try to. He will go on to conserve his tyres again for these last few laps. Latifi is in 14th place. I don't think there's any chance of a double points finish from here, if I'm going to be honest. But George is the main aim, especially with Hulkenberg and Ricciardo definitely pitting. George is up to 6th. Latifi is up into 12th. Vettel should have to pit again. And at the moment, he's out on his own. He's pulled away from Sainz. Leclerc has now officially got past his teammate. And he will chase after George. And George Russell has a 4-second gap to Vettel, who's gone on to medium tyres for the rest of this Grand Prix now. We will speed it up for the next few laps. And we'll see what we've got. We've got Vettel on medium tyres, yes, but also he's got a damaged car, not really making much difference apparently. His damaged car, he's probably going to get back past and into 5th at some point. We're going to put him on to conserve now as well. And there we go, Vettel is past George. With 3 laps to go, as long as George can make these tyres last to the end, it's all good. Let's speed it back up. George, that Leclerc is coming. George is doing everything he can. Leclerc is pitting again. George ain't pitting again. I don't care if his tyres go off the wall here. We are not pitting again. He might end up being so slow here that he's going to lose his places. We will slow it down for these last few corners. So George, he's got Hulkenberg closing up. He's got corners left. George's going to get 5th here. George gets 5th. Latifi is going to finish in 12th. It's not the worst Grand Prix we've ever had, but George Russell finishing in 5th, that's a fantastic result. That's exactly what we'd have been looking for. He made the tyres last, other cars didn't. It's what essentially happened there. We managed to make the one stop work, other teams didn't. I think we're the only team that did the one stop in the end. We are indeed the only team that managed to do the one stop. Latifi finished 12th. George Russell, at one point where it looked like he was completely out of it, managed to finish 5th, which is really good, with Gasly only picking up a point for AlphaTauri. We may well take them in terms of the championship. I can't remember how many points we were behind them in the end, but fantastic result from George. Latifi letting the team down a little bit, finishing 12th. But there you have it, George is up to 4th now in the Drivers' Championship on 29 points. Might be a stretch to say he's got a chance of winning this championship, but he's not doing badly. And in terms of the constructors, we then go into 3rd. Yes, we have leapfrogged AlphaTauri, so it's Mercedes by far and away, kind of pulling away a little bit here. 78 points, 15 ahead of Red Bull with 63, and then there's us with 43 and AlphaTauri on 41. So that seems to be the battle this season. We're going to be battling for 3rd or 4th, maybe 5th if Ferrari come back into it. Honestly though, over the moon with that, absolutely over the moon, especially when mid-race it looked, especially after safety car, like we weren't going to get any points. Double points was definitely not happening, but any points kind of looked like it just wasn't happening. Yeah, over the moon. So happy with that. Another 2.2 million goes into the kitty, so that puts us up to 17 million. Hopefully soon we'll have the money we need to start thinking, well, we can now look to build parts for the car. We shall see. Next up, it is a return. We're not moving too far away. It is going to be Tondela again. It's not a bad track, so I'm not going to moan too much. Portugal. Looks like there could be a bit of rain in the race though this time. I'll see you in Portugal.